Okay, welcome to the first ever From the Fabricator podcast. Yes, this is a new addition to the From the Fabricator series, my blog that's been running for 15 years. I've decided, thanks to some prodding of others and some other inspirations, which I'll get to momentarily, to enter the podcast world. And I'm excited to do it because I think I can bring some value to the space. This is going to be a lot like my blog, where it's going to be quick hits, quick interviews. I've got 3 this month. It is a monthly podcast at this point. So once a month, towards the end of the month, it will drop, and there'll be a video portion so you can see this ugly mug, and also obviously on audio with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like to listen to them. We'll have that there. So I'm very excited. And basically, like I said, we're going to focus on products and people and projects and also some fun stuff, events. We're going to cover all of that, just like I kind of cover on my blog, and get some different people's voices on it. And I'm excited about this and looking forward to it. And, obviously, first and foremost, 2 people I have to thank. One is John Wheaton, who has the incredible Creating Structure podcast that you have to listen to. He's also a blogger, but he had me on his podcast and he got me going. And that was pretty exciting. And I really enjoyed it. And I remembered how much I enjoyed the broadcasting aspect of things. And that was an inspiration. But then it was really the push over the finish line by my friend Andrew Herring of the National Glass Association, the brilliant guy. I wish I had a smidgen of his skill. He pushed me over this finish line to do this and say, you can do it. And at least I know he'll listen. So hello, Andrew. It's good to have you listening on today's podcast. So once a month, and very excited to be here. And I'm going to start it off basically each month with what's going on in our world and thoughts, and then I'll pop into the interviews. Coming up on today's podcast, I have Tim Kelly, the reigning 2020 glass industry MVP from TriStar Glass. I have Irmela Sowell from the National Glass Association. She's going to talk about the incredible NGA Glass Conference coming up in February 9th. And I also have good friend Tom O'Malley from Clover Architectural Products. Tom had 2 projects that actually made my project of the week on the blog, and we're going to talk about them and see some pictures for those of you viewing this. And he's going to kind of take those deep dives, incredible work. And I'm looking forward to that part of the podcast going forward, those project deep dives, because on my blog I give it 20 words or so, 30 words, and it's nice, but to take a deeper dive, I think we'll all appreciate that. And again, I'm talking 10-15 minutes with all of these folks, maybe a little less, maybe a little longer, but a little bit of a different style. So I hope you can stay with me and join me. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for listening. Feel free to rate and review this. That was probably the one thing I did wrong when I started my blog. Was I had the big time rabbit ears on, and I didn't handle criticism very well. So if I'm not doing something right, the audio doesn't sound right, you want less pictures of me, by all means, let me know. If I'm doing something good, please let me know. Just thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. So kicking things off, obviously, we're at the beginning of 2021. It's an interesting year ahead, to say the least. And I'm actually staying relatively confident and positive about the year ahead. I know I haven't been living under a rock. I've been locked down for the most part in some cases, but I do know that it's a struggle ahead, that we do have a dip coming. We do have an economic dip from a forecasting standpoint in our industry. People do have pretty solid backlogs. I've talked to a lot of glazers that are hanging in there, and they have good backlogs, but not like previous years. And that makes a lot of sense. And then you have things like the Architectural Billings Index that is sitting out there and is due to hit us. When those index numbers come out, they hit us about 9 to 12 months later. So we're about to hit the belly of the beast. I called it on my blog a donut. I think we're going to start off good and taste very good, and then we're going to get to the middle and there's nothing there. And then once again, then pick up again towards the end of the year. My hope is that hole in the middle is small, I do think that there is going to be a lull, but there is a possibility that with weather events, other projects starting to come up, it happens, things sliding, hopefully will level out the valley that we may and we probably will run into. So staying confident on that. And we've been a resilient industry. I'm amazed the resiliency of everyone. If you would have told me, that this was going to happen and we battled through the way we did, and especially those in New York and Boston who had job sites, ripped from them right away, and then had to deal with some really, really difficult rules. We've hung in there through all of that, and I believe we will continue to do that. So I'm confident, and the biggest thing I'm probably confident about is glass. I've said it to anybody who will listen to me. I think glass is the winner when this is all said and done. Glass is going to be the building product of choice. It's solid. It's obviously we all love it, but the ability to allow natural light to come through, both interior and exterior, and allow those open spaces and give the protection needed. No other product can do that. Plastic scratches, fades, discolors. We know that. I'm not telling anybody anything new on this. Glass is going to be it. Now, the key is how we take advantage of that. We have great products. We have to continue to sell those products. We have to communicate heavily. And then we have to be aggressive as an industry. We should be all over the interior as an industry. And I think the interior industry needs the Division 8 glass world to step up, because the folks that are currently playing in that industry are not glass people. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to communicate with architects. And I know that might be controversial, and I'd love to talk to some of those companies that are in it. But to me, I don't think that they have it. They're not hitting the right points. Architects desperately want to learn more and need to learn more. And the current batch of those companies that aren't in our current Division 8 world don't know that. I've sat on more than a few webinars that has steeled my opinion on that. So I think we have great opportunities. We're going to step up and do it, and I'm excited for it. So there's good things ahead on that item, and in that angle. So we have to keep evolving, keep innovating, and we've got great people, great companies that will do that. So that is kind of the kickoff of my thoughts. I don't think that it was any groundbreaking new news. I think anybody who follows me knows that's where I'm coming from. But that is, at the end of the day, where I think we need to stay focused, get things done, communicate, like I always say, innovate and move forward, and attack these areas like the interiors with our product lines. So that is the kickoff in a nutshell. And like I said earlier, we've got a great episode, in my opinion. Tim Kelly, tremendous human. Irma Sowell, also one of my all-time favorites. Tom O'Malley, same. Interviewing all three of those coming up. And then at the end, after those three interviews, I have some fun stuff. Each month, I'm going to run down something fun, whether it's music, TV, movies, so on. This week, documentary, must-see documentary that actually has a little bit of a connection to what we just went through in 2020. And so stay tuned for that one. But I think you've seen my face and heard my voice enough for this initial segment, and I think it's time to get it going. So time to toss it on over to my interview with Tim Kelly, TriStar Glass president, reigning 2020 MVP, and great man all around. Here we go. Okay, so we are thrilled to have Tim Kelly, president of TriStar Glass, on our first From the Fabricator podcast. He is the reigning 2020 glass industry MVP, which I pick. So you could fight me on this all day long, but a great guy, TriStar Glass, a great company. I'm thrilled to have you on, Tim. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your extremely busy day to talk with me.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. And again, thanks for the recognition on the MVP. Like I've said before, though, it's really, that's a reflection of the great people I have working for me, for sure.
No doubt. And I was going to ask you about the culture. I think you have incredible people. I'm a huge fan of Erica as an example, a super person. So many great folks, both inside your plant and inside in outside sales and inside as well. How do you foster that culture that you've built over all of these years? I mean, it's incredibly impressive.
Yeah, I'm not really 100% sure how all that works, but I know we've always tried to promote a family atmosphere, and let people have a lot of freedom in the jobs that they do. Just sort of kind of give them, here's what we're trying to accomplish. You have a lot of input on how that gets done. And I think over the years, even starting back with my brother and I's company, Sunbelt Glass, it's just kind of bled over. So we have a lot of older people that have worked with us for a long time, and that's sort of been a challenge the last 2 or 3 years, is recruiting new younger people. Our industry in a whole is going through that process as well. And you know I think sometimes it's luck getting hooked up with people like Erica Couch, and Rob Carlson is young and has been great for our company. And my two sons are involved in the business. They're both mid to late 20s, and have a lot of energy. And so we've spent a lot of time trying to recruit younger people in, and we've been very lucky with some of the people that we've gotten.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I'm thrilled to hear about your sons being in the business. That's exciting. That as a dad, that's got to be a big thrill for you.
Well, it certainly helps my succession plans, that's for sure. Otherwise, I figured I'd be working and, well, forever.
Yes, yeah. I have two kids who have zero interest in the glass business, but at this point in my life, when I was their age, I had zero interest in the glass business too. So that can change. So let's turn back the clock a little bit to 2020. The last time I saw you in person was in Nashville at the BEC. And at that point, I thought surviving a tornado might be the toughest thing we have to deal with all year. It kind of underrated right now, that tornado. Talk a little bit about 2020. You had huge plans and you succeeded in those plans against all odds. How did that all come about for you with new equipment and just everything you did in 2020?
Yeah, so 2020, we had a big plan for replacing a lot of aging equipment in our Tulsa facility. Big new tempering furnace, new automated seaming, new adding another jumbo cutting table, and automated storage system. Um, and all of that got accomplished, but it was all put on hold for a while. And we went ahead with the install, even though we were missing some technicians from Europe, which has been a challenge for the entire industry, I know. But I got to give Glaston and Bentler a lot of credit for how they pulled off that, uh, and Finatech as well. I mean, those three coming together and doing a lot of it, online. It took longer. It was more of a disruption, but we got through it all, and it's all working great. And glad we went ahead with it for sure.
Yeah, that's it's one thing to do equipment move in a normal year. To do it in a year like this, a heck of a challenge. So congratulations to you and your people. And I'm glad you mentioned your your collaborators there, because they do play a big role in that. And you've been able to develop some wonderful relationships with folks like that. And I think part of that is you're active in this industry, so everybody knows you, and that's important, right?
Yeah, we've always, me personally, and I try and spread it to my team as well. Having very good relationships with your vendors, whether it's glass suppliers or equipment suppliers, I think is a little underrated in our industry. I think some some people, it's easier to try and beat your vendors up and always get the better price, and always try and extract something from them. But for us, we look at it as a real partnership, and I think that's something that's helped us be successful.
No doubt, that's the right attitude, for sure, for sure. So I meant to ask you. So you're at 3 locations now. How many locations does TriStar have? At this time and date, because I know you're always on the move somehow, some way.
Yeah. So we have 3 locations. Our original facilities in Catoosa, Oklahoma, which is just outside of Tulsa. Um, and then we have a plant in Dallas and a plant in Houston. And the plants in Texas are 100% committed to commercial insulated glass projects. They don't have any polishers or do any next day tempered or those sorts of things. They're really 100% focused on projects. Tulsa's a little bit more interesting because well, at this point, about 3/4 of the plant is set up for doing commercial projects, and there's still a part of the facility that, loads milk runs and next day tempered and shower doors and things like that. And that can be a real challenge to try and be good at both. It's something we work on a daily basis.
Yeah, I give you a lot of credit because in my time in the industry, and I experienced it myself, when you have one facility, you have all that talent kind of, focused in that one facility. And then when you expand to two or to three, it gets so much tougher because like that core of your talent gets diluted. When I was growing up, we had our Pittsburgh facility, then we went to Michigan, and we just thought Michigan could be just like Pittsburgh, and it's hard to get that across. And you've done it with three, so I give you a ton of credit to have that culture and that success level and that constant drive that you guys have. It's a heck of an accomplishment, and congrats to you and your folks.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Again, we got kind of lucky and were presented with a unique opportunity when the financial crisis hit. It really affected our industry, but it gave us an opportunity to open a plant in Dallas with a lot of talent that was sort of got put on the sidelines. And so that really made that plant successful right from the get-go. And then taking what we learned there and doing it in Houston was pretty easy. We'd like to open up another location, but I think we have to make sure that our talent and that we have the resources available on the human resources available to be able to open another one and be successful.
No doubt, no doubt. And so the way this podcast is going to work is really quick hits. I could sit here and talk to you for hours and hours, but I know you're swamped, and I know people are listening are swamped, and it's meant to kind of be like my blog, where it's a quick hitting sort of thing, and give people a taste. So only a couple more questions for you, and the one
Sure.
is looking ahead, 2021. What do you see? I mean, before we went on air, we joked about we're ready to send 2021 back, but it's got to get better. There's no question it can't get any worse, I don't think. But what are you thinking for 2021?
So we're starting the year with a really good backlog, but we are managing under the the understanding that there's going to be a lull in 2021 at some point. And looking at our quoting, the letters of intent that we have, I think somewhere in the middle of the beginning of summer, middle of summer, we're going to see a bit of a slowdown, and we're in a good position to deal with that. But then I think by the end of the year and the first part of next year, I think as COVID becomes in our rearview mirror, I think business is going to be pretty good going forward.
Yeah, good call. Good call. I think I'm on the same page as you on all that. I do think a valley is coming. We're just going to have to deal with it. And
Hmm.
we've been pretty resilient as an industry. I mean, I'm amazed at how tough everybody has been and how we've all put up with it.
I
Incredible
agree.
industry, and especially
I agree.
and you deal in Texas, and I'm a big fan of the Texas Glass Association and those guys. Well, they took my word of resilience and went with it. I think we've definitely had a nice little run, and let's just keep that going. Obviously.
Yeah.
Last question. So what is the thing you're most looking forward to when things return to quote unquote normal? You're in the Southwest, so things are a little different for you than I'm in Michigan. We've been locked down for months. We can't go anywhere. I think you have a little bit more flexibility, but what's the one thing you're looking forward to most when normal returns?
Uh, well, certainly personally, I love to travel, and I had a couple of trips planned last year. I turned 60 last year, and so had a couple of nice trips planned, and I'm looking forward to being able to take those off hold and put them into action. So
Good.
from a business standpoint, it's really been a struggle trying to. It's always a responsibility managing a business with a lot of people that work with you, and worrying about their health and safety, um, and just to get through this and be past that sort of worry of how everybody's feeling and who's sick, and that's going to be a big relief.
That's awesome. No, I like it. I can't wait till you get to travel. And the fact that you're turning 60 and don't look like a day over 45 is my brother and I play this game. We go to restaurants and we ask the waitress, who looks older? And I always get, oh, he's 10 years older than me, but they all look at me and say, oh yeah, he's older. And they point to me. I guarantee you and I go into a restaurant, they're thinking I'm the 60-year-old. I'm only 52, but you look 45, my friend. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being the guest today on one of a few guests that we have today on the podcast. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the support of the industry, everything that you and the TriStar team do. Very, very thankful. Industry appreciates it. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you at Glassbuild in the fall. We're gonna be in person one way or another, so I look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, Max. Have a great one.
Thank you. Okay, time for the podcast project of the pod. And as people who follow my blog know, every week I put a project of the week. And a few weeks back, I had a stunner that was from my home state of Michigan. 511 Woodward was the name of it. And it came from my next guest, Tom O'Malley of Clover Architectural Products. Tom's been a good friend for a long, long time, incredibly talented human. And I'm thrilled to have him on the first From the Fabricator podcast. Tom, thanks for joining me.
Max, thanks for having me. I'm actually shocked that I would be the first guest. I'm sure it has to do just basically based on my good looks that you thought you'd get a bigger audience. But that aside, thanks very much. It's a huge compliment.
No doubt. Brad Pitt has nothing on you, my man. Nothing on you.
Exactly.
So it's a thrill. I've known you a long time, and it was funny because with the project of the week, what I try to do is point out projects that are eye-catching and different, and but also show our industry at its finest. And for those of you who are going to watch this on the YouTube feed, you're going to see the picture up here and momentarily of this incredible job and amazing work done by Clover Architectural Products and some other folks along the way. And Tom's going to probably talk about that. But take me through the process, Tom. I mean, this is not an everyday out of the box job. This thing is really, really special.
Sure. No. So how we got involved, how Clover got involved was Sean Lewis from Modern Mirror and Glass in Detroit brought us in. So we had worked with Sean on another project called Ford Robotics up in Michigan. And he was brought in to basically put this crazy screen wall in front of his curtain wall. And he brought it to us. We reviewed it. Warren Hagee in my office went through it. We talked operations. Operations basically kind of gave us a look of shock that we would even bring it to him. And, so we brought it back to him again. And, we had the plan of a design build that, Sean was very much part of as well was Yamasaki, the architect, and Walbridge, the GC. That was really the only way we were going to be able to do it. There was a design that was somewhat out there by the architect, and we kind of were able to put our touch to it to try to make it a little bit easier. So that was the first step. So we brought in Rice Engineering to kind of help us with some of the design of this, if you want to call this screen wall, garage facade, what have you. So that's kind of how we got involved.
It is a stunner. And so you got going with it. What type of barrow was this thing for you guys to produce and then get out to the project?
It was. So really, it was, some jobs are harder in the shop drawing and engineering phase. And then once you get it to the shop, it kind of runs like clockwork. Other jobs are, a little bit easier in the, engineering side. And then once you get to the fab side, there's some of the complexities that come up. This job had both. And so what made this job so unique is what these are called is basically chevrons. And there was 300 chevrons that stood 2 feet off the glass curtain wall. And that was one of the biggest hurdles right there. So we had to tie back into the curtain wall, come off 2 feet. And then what the product actually was, the chevron, is it's a 1/4-inch plate. So we had to model it in 3D. And then we had to basically flatten it. We lasered it out of the plate. And then we formed it. And the forming was we had 6 bends per panel. There was 2 bends on the outside ends that were each a 90-degree bend, but the other 4 bends were all a unique degree bend to it. So it was definitely very complex. The geometry to it was very hard. So that was the first very hard portion of it. On top of that, then you had all the custom framework that helped kind of support this system. There was 3 or 4 different size tubes. There was the basically perimeter channel that kind of was a picture frame for this whole system. And then there was within the garage, you might be able to see in the picture there, there's a couple custom void areas that it was basically a big opening in the middle of it. And we had to design that as well. So those were all very complex things. And then we had to be able to figure a way to be able to package this and ship it to our painter, which was Spectrum Metal Painting, which did a great job out of Youngstown, Ohio, Neil Chrisman and his team, and then be able to get it there, have them be able to paint it, and then ship it to the job site and not have any issues of anything getting damaged before the install. So those were some of the biggest hurdles we faced. And then the install side, Modern Mirrors, Sean Lewis and his team did a fantastic job of basically making sure this all came together. I mean, if you look at it, that could be, it's one thing to get it to the job site, then you're like, all right, now they got to put it in. That's the hard part. So his team did a fantastic job, and I think everyone's happy in the end of the final product.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is not a simple everyday sort of job. I mean, this is custom to its fullest extent. And so you needed that collaboration. And so obviously the people like Rice and Spectrum, had to come through for you. And then, the Modern Mirror team, who I've known virtually my entire professional life, fantastic people. Nice to see them come through for you. It has to blow you away from, you were there when Yamasaki is talking this through, you're looking at it, and then to see it in completion, it's got to give you so much pride.
It does. It's one of those projects that, I was dying to see the final product, and I was probably pestering our customer for the pictures a little bit more than he probably wanted to hear. But it's one of those, when you're done, it's almost like you can't believe you did it. And I find whenever we do these types of projects, it leads to future work where someone's like, oh, they can do that, then they must be able to do this. And so but it's one of those things. It's got to be the right team, the right customer, the right project. What was great about this is the owner of the building knew that this was going to require some design build to it, and he was willing to pay for everyone to be able to take that time to design it up front to make sure that it was done right. It's not something you can do on the fly or just put a number and bid it, and then hopefully it goes right. So much of everything was done before we even submitted our first set of shop drawings. Everything was basically designed and done, which is very helpful.
No doubt. And it's nice when you have an owner like that gets it. And then obviously look at what you get at the end. You get something that, will probably be, in the running for awards and recognition. I mean, this is a project you don't see every day. So obviously congratulations to you, Yamasaki, Walbridge, right? Walbridge was the GC? Was it Walbridge?
Walbridge, correct.
Walbridge,
yes.
And then Modern Mirror, Neil and Spectrum. I'm going to miss seeing Neil if I don't see him at BEC this year, depending on what happens there. I only see Neil once a year at BEC. So congrats to him and the Rice Engineering. This is a fantastic job, Tom. I mean, you got to be thrilled.
We definitely are. Our team, Jim Strimplewski and everyone in operations did a great job, and it was challenging. Obviously, everyone's busy, and a lot of this was done obviously during the middle of COVID. So, some people were working remotely, and just trying to make sure this all went together was a true feat and a testament to their knowledge and their hard work.
Yeah, congrats. And it's cloverarchitecturalproducts.com if you want to see the range of products that Tom and company do. Great people there. You can find them also on LinkedIn, find Tom on LinkedIn as well. But you were also almost by accident another project of the week that started off actually 2021, a job with TSI which was different, obviously, compared to the 511 job, a different approach, but it also shows the range that you and your company has. Can you talk a little bit about the TSI project?
Sure, sure. TSI has been a great customer of Clover for a really long time. We're very fortunate to work with them. They're very talented, and um, they have a project called 9950 Medical Center. I think it's actually also called Autolus as well, who's I think the tenant now. And this was a 16-inch, or I'm sorry, a 14-inch airfoil that was running both vertically and horizontally. And we had to design it and work with them so that we could tie the horizontal airfoil into the vertical. So the vertical is actually going to support the horizontal sunshade, which typically is not the case. Typically they act independently of each other, but because of the design, that's kind of what had to be done. And so if you get a chance to see the picture, it's a really cool, almost looks like a ladder. And then on top of it, we worked with Quality Powder Coating out of Texas, Jim Hester and his team, which we do a lot of work with. And this was a wood grain powder coat. So the architect was Gaudreau Architects, and then the GC was Whiting Turner. Some other big players on this I know were Erie Architectural Products, and Viracon did the glass, and it was a really cool project to be part of. It's one of those projects when you're done. Sometimes you do it and then it's done, and you're like, oh, that's not even a great picture, or there's a lot of work. It looks like a postcard, and it's something that, again, we'll be real proud to put our name on. And again, we're really happy that TSI chose us to be their partner.
Sure, absolutely. And so yeah, again, this is the from the Fabricator podcast, and this segment is really meant to allow the projects of the week that I show on the blog a little bit more room to breathe, because I only say 20, 25, 30 words. Most of that is name dropping everybody that was involved in the project. So I appreciate you coming on and giving more color to it on both of these things, because these pictures do say quite a bit because they're incredible projects, but you being able to add the color means a ton. And I'm sure it means a ton to all the people that you mentioned, because you have to collaborate at the highest of levels to do projects this sophisticated. So you need that support from all of your vendors and all of your partners, right?
We totally do, and we're very fortunate, and we try to be very selective in who we work with in terms of vendors and partners. And in return, they give us the service that we need. So when we're going after a job like 9950 and we have to come up with how we're going to make that work, we can call Rice Engineering, and they'll do some free engineering for us up front to run the calcs and make sure things work. And if we need to do some things on top of that and have them spend a little bit more money, we can do those things. So, and they'll turn it around quickly for us. Those are all important things, because when TSI is going after this project, they need to know things quickly, so that when they're turning to Erie, or Erie's needing information on loads and so forth, we need to be able to give that to them. And it's important for us to have the right partners or the right finishers. And like I said, the wood grain, we're doing a lot of wood grain finishing, and we're fortunate that we work with probably the biggest wood grain guy in Quality Powder Coating, and we have a long history. And Jim will jump on things, get samples out for us, get us our pricing, and then internally we have a great team that will do it, and it will jump after, and knows what they're doing, and has past history and things that our customers feel comfortable working with us on.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So just wrapping up, again, the website, if you want to find out more about Tom and his company, cloverarchitecturalproducts.com. Everything going all right? 2021, I know, is off to an interesting start in our world, but everything going okay in the Clover world? You guys okay? Is it a good start to the year? What are you seeing?
Yeah, actually in the last 2 weeks, it seems like it's really popped, where we've had some really nice opportunities come over. And we were really busy last year. We were fortunate in terms of the fabrication side, and we have a pretty good backlog for 2021. So we felt good with that, but we were getting a little bit nervous in terms of what was coming out down the road. We were, hearing that from other competitors that we're friendly with, or our customers, what was going on. And in the last couple of weeks, we've been pleasantly surprised with the amount of projects that are coming out, or moving to that next step, that were maybe waiting to see what was going on with the economy and maybe the election and so forth. So we're pretty optimistic, and we try to be pretty selective in who we work with. We're very fortunate with the companies we work with, that they work with us, and we try to we try to gain that respect from them, and that the ability to where they maybe just come to us for a price, and they have that confidence in us. So yeah, so we are pretty optimistic, although obviously, like everyone, you're a little bit nervous what's going on with that hopefully with things are starting to move with COVID and the vaccine and so forth. So
Yeah, we have we definitely have an interesting year. The vaccine, and also just we've got to slow down somewhere along the way. But it just depends on how things progress, how these backlogs slide. And so I'm glad. It's great to hear that you've gotten off to a good start here in 2021, and the sky's the limit for you guys. I've been a fan since day one. I was honored that you allowed me to break the news about Clover launching when you guys launched. I that was on my blog. That made my day. That made me feel like a legitimate news source that I was able to launch that. So I've been a fan since day one, and a long time a friend of yours. At least I feel like I am. So I appreciate you coming on here today and walking us through all this. Thank you so much.
no, thanks, Max. Thanks for the support, and yeah, definitely we definitely appreciate the friendship. You've been a huge supporter of us, so thank you.
Always, always. That's Tom O'Malley from Clover Architectural Products. You can find them at cloverarchitecturalproducts.com on the web. Look them up on LinkedIn as well. Connect and see some of those great projects. And again, they do good things for the industry. Thank you again, Tom.
Thanks, man.
Okay, last but not least, on the first ever From the Fabricator podcast, the one and only, the great Irmela Sowell from the National Glass Association. I've gone way back with Irmela, so I'm honored to have you on my first podcast. You are the technical whiz of our world. So welcome.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome.
Thank you, Max. Thanks for your decades of support and always being part of the associations and really helping us out. Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Wouldn't miss it. Thank you. Wouldn't miss it for the world. And it's been a pleasure to get to know you all these years. And I'm excited because what I have you on for today is to talk about the Glass Conference, the NGA Glass Conference, which is coming up on February 9th, one day online. And I'll run down the schedule before we're done, and also the costs. But the reason I wanted to have you on is there's two sessions in this conference that are, in my opinion, must attends. If you're in this industry, and you care about your business and you care about the industry and you want to get ahead, these are sessions you have to attend. And we're not asking for a lot of time either. I mean, this is really, real well worth it. So first and foremost, let's talk about one of the sessions is what we're calling a deep dive into the codes. And so, talk to me a little bit about that. What's going to happen when somebody logs on to the NGA Glass Conference? What are they going to find out when you take that deep dive into the codes?
Well, yes. So it's a one-day must see, not miss kind of thing. And so when we polled our membership, who since last March, that they've traveled for industry, and they typically would get their education and they'll get their technical and their codes updates and things like that at all these different meetings. And they haven't been able to do that. So why we're doing a deep dive, it's an hour and a half, and it is AIA accredited as well, is that we wanted to make sure that they get this, this must-see standards, codes, and what's going on within the industry and all of the different legislations. So that way we are able in one session get a lot of information. When we asked our members what is the must, the one thing that they come to our meetings for and what they depend on the NGA, of course, it's always the networking and fun things like that. However, the standards and the codes and the advocacy and the technical updates is one of the biggest hitters. So we'll have Tom Culp, who's our energy consultant, Tom Zaremba and Nick Restotar, who works with us on fire and safety and structural glass. And then Karen Wiegert and myself will be doing the NGA update, what's going on within the association, all the technical, meetings that we're having, all the publications, but also the standards update, what's happening and what's new at ASTM and NFRC, ASHRAE, et cetera.
And it's probably a lot of people don't realize. I mean, even though we had the pandemic, or we're still in the middle of it, I guess, is the work still goes on. It goes on virtually. So you are glued to your screen, I think, day in, day out in these meetings. So you have a lot to really report back. I mean, I think some people maybe have said, nothing's really happening in the world because everything's on hold, but codes don't go on hold.
They don't go on hold. Standards do not go on hold. These are on cycles. Codes are every 3-year cycle. Standards are every 5 to 8 year cycle. These are things that doesn't matter what else is going on. And if the industry is on a shutdown or no travel or anything like that, these meetings are still happening. Like ASHRAE, for example, this is usually like a 3-4 day for 90.1, which is the energy meeting, but now it's a 2-week meeting. Every couple of days, 3 hours here, 3 hours there, and it's stretched out. So all of these meetings are still happening just virtually.
Right, right. Yeah, you're on your toes. Now, the other thing that is happening on February 9th at the NGA Glass Conference, and you can learn more about this at www.glass.org. Everything is up there, and I'll also run down some of the information before we're done. But the other session is a stunner, in my opinion. It is a chance to learn about what goes on at the GSA. And I know that this did not come easily. And this is the first time we've ever done anything like this. Tell everybody, I mean, this is big. This is really, really big.
Absolutely. So the General Services Administration, they are the largest building owner and has leases on so many buildings. And of course, it's all of the government buildings. And so Lance Davis with GSA will be giving us this presentation on what's new. They're updating their facility standard for their public service buildings. And so they're supposed to be, I think sometime in 2021 is when they're publishing this document. And the glass and glazing section took a pretty big update. And so he's going to be sharing with us a lot of the information that was updated, what's going on, and just having GSA as part of our meeting is always a treat, just because they use a lot of glass. They constructing, any city, there's something that has their markings on it.
I mean, for all the years I've been in this industry, I've heard about people wanting to get into that sort of business or trying to understand it. And here we're delivering it to you on a silver platter. I mean, this is a great opportunity to get some insight. And it was not easy to get Lance. And I heard, I think you told me that when the offer came up, you didn't think twice. It was like, done, we're there.
Not a second thought. No, there was not even a split second of a thought. Of course it was going to happen. And we're very, very grateful to have him here. His presentation is going to cover not just manufacturing and fabricating, but also for the contractors, the installers, it's pretty much for anybody. Of course, architects as well, just so, what he will be covering is just a lot of information.
Beautiful, beautiful. So this is all February 9th. It is a one-day online session. It will kick off at 10:30 with a virtual fun run, which Irmela owns every year. It's the 6th one. She's won every year, so just be aware of that. It's either you or Bill Sullivan, I think, win this thing every year. So one of you guys will do it. And then
I'm sure Matt Hanna and Ron from Techniform will have a couple words on that, but yes.
Yeah. You know what? I know. I saw them actually online going back and forth on that. So yeah. So there's going to be some battles there. We welcome everybody in at 11:15, and then the code session 11:30 Eastern time. These are all Eastern time for the code session. Then there's a nice break there, so folks can eat their lunch and they can go get work done, and then be back at 3:30 for the GSA session, 3:30 Eastern time. And then we follow it up with a happy hour / networking session. So everybody can kind of decompress.
Yes, so back when we had our glass conference back in July, when we switched Fall Conference, to our online version, we had, a happy hour, and there were so many of our members who they were so excited to see each other. And even if it was just virtual, it was just so nice to catch up with them and have those conversations. So we're doing our virtual, happy hour with volunteer celebration as well. So that'll be really fun.
Volunteers are the key. Volunteers are the key in our world. And
not do this without them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's so many great ones, and you've mentioned a few and many more. I'm excited to see on February 9th. Now, the best part about this year, and one of the best parts, is the pricing is unbelievable. If you're a member of the NGA, $100 per person, but you can also do it by company for $500. Everyone in your company can attend this. If you're a member, non-member rates are $150 and $750. If you're an architect, we can get you a special code, and you can get architectural credit, your AIA CEUs. So you can't beat the price for this sort of education and this sort of insight, because if you don't have it, you'll be caught looking at that point. You really need to be there. And any final words for people to make sure that they join us here in a couple weeks, February 9th?
For $100 for members, and spending, half a day with us, 2.5 hours or so, to get the education. It's a lot that you're going to get for a little bit of an investment. So absolutely.
Absolutely. It's a great value. And I know you're swamped. You squoze this in to me, this interview, between bird friendly discussions and 300 other code issues that you have going on. So thank you for your time. I truly appreciate it. This is the From the Fabricator podcast. That is Urmila Sowell, who is NGA's, what is your official title? Technical czar?
No, it's a little bit better than that, I think.
Okay, tell me. I don't know. Honestly, I should have looked it up. I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah.
Technical czar. No, I'm the technical and advocacy director for NGA.
Okay, technical and advocacy director for NGA, National Glass Association, near and dear to both of our hearts. So thank you so much for being here. You will see Urmila on February 9th, because I know everyone watching this will hustle over to glass.org, find the link for the NGA Glass Conference, sign up, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Thank you so much, Urmila.
Thank you, Max. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Okay, welcome back to Solo Max here on the From the Fabricator podcast. Time to wrap things up. 3 tremendous interviews again. So thank you to Tim, to Tom, to Urmila. Great stuff. And please get signed up for that glass conference, the NGA Glass Conference. The NGA Glass Conference, February 9th, online. Be there and learn. So that's good stuff. Anyway, so at the end of every podcast, I plan on doing what I call fun stuff, similar to maybe what I do on the blog when I call out different things that I find interesting, including music, documentary, movies, so on. And this week, I'm going to talk a little bit about a documentary. Just watched 4 parts, and it's called 1968. It's a little older. I hadn't seen it. Came across it on HBO. It's a 4-part series about the year 1968, broken up into winter, spring, summer, and fall. And obviously, those of you who know history and know 1968, incredible turmoil-filled year. The passings of Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King, the strife in the streets with Vietnam, in dealing with folks here in the U.S. with that. And I know I have a lot of friends in Canada and Mexico who watch and listen to my or follow my blog and podcast, so not leaving them out, but definitely focused on what was going on in the U.S. at that time. And the election, which probably was the most fascinating part, was there were parts of the election in 1968 that matched up to some of the narratives that were happening in 2020 here in the United States. So well worth the watch. Really, really, really well done. And the one takeaway was 1968 was a horrible year when you think about it. So much went wrong, and it was just so bad. And it had a comparable to 2020 with the election and not being a good year. And my hope is 1969 turned out to be a pretty decent year. It was on the way back. We had men landing on the moon, which it was a huge, massive accomplishment. The New York Mets winning the World Series, the Miracle Mets, things like that to help get people's, hopes back boosted again. And my hope is that we follow that same path here in 2021. So check that out. 1968 is the documentary. Those who know me know I love documentaries. I love to catch up with my friends on that. So if you have one that you like, please shoot it to me. This is the section that I'll probably talk about it in. And I also always talk about it on my blog too. So That is on HBO and HBO Max, and check that out. 1968. It is a Tom Hanks production. So there you go. That's the fun stuff. Next month, I've got an interesting fun stuff one with the world of music. So that's a quick little tease for you on that. And again, this is a monthly podcast. We will be back next month. I am lining up 3 really unbelievable guests. I've got some commitments. I don't want to jinx it just because if it goes south on me, I don't want to screw that up, but I'm really excited about next month. I think we're on a roll here. I'm excited about what we can do with this podcast and your support. So if you've made it to this point, thank you so much for listening and watching. If you're watching on YouTube, I really, really appreciate it. It means a ton. This, I think, is going to be something that I hope that you'll look forward to each and every month. So please, if there's a chance to rate and review it, do that. And I am all for any input, including where I do this podcast from next month, or it won't be in this basement. I will find somewhere better so I don't have stuffed animal dogs. And then there's Bob the Builder up there. So next month, different place. Who knows? It could be like Where's Waldo when I do these podcasts on the video side going forward. But thank you very much for listening. This has been the From the Fabricator podcast, and I look forward to seeing you guys on my blog and also next month when I return in February with 3 more guests, more thoughts, more fun stuff, and I look forward to it all. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Stay well, everybody.